The ship graveyard floated in the darkness of space like a city of the dead. Thousands of broken vessels drifted in slow circles around the dying star. Some were small fighters with holes in their hulls. Others were massive warships that had once carried armies across the galaxy. Now they were all just garbage, waiting to be cut apart and melted down. Kang Do-yoon pulled himself through the wreckage, using a cable attached to his suit. His breath fogged the inside of his helmet. The oxygen recycler was old and made a clicking sound that never stopped. He had learned to ignore it months ago. He was 34 years old. His hair was getting gray at the sides. His hands were covered in scars from years of working with metal and machines. Back on Earth, he had been a ship engineer. A good one. People said he could fix anything. That was before he punched a Velthary officer in the face. The Velthary were tall beings with blue skin and 3 eyes. They ran most of the Galactic Confederacy. They had found humanity 80 years ago and allowed them to join their great civilization. But joining did not mean being equal. Humans were at the bottom. They were seen as clever animals who could do simple work. The officer had called humans talking monkeys who got lucky with fire. Do-yoon's fist had moved before his brain could stop it. Now he was here. The Velthary ship graveyard. A prison without walls. Workers came here to take apart old ships. The pay was almost nothing. The food was bad. The air recyclers barely worked. Most workers died within 5 years from radiation sickness or accidents. Do-hyun had been here for 8 months. He floated past a group of workers cutting into an old transport ship. They were Kelari, a species with 4 arms and rough green skin. They did not look at him. Nobody talked much in the graveyard. There was nothing to say. Do-hyun was looking for something. He had heard rumors from other human workers about a ship in the deep section of the graveyard. A big one. Very old. The Confederacy had marked it as unsalvageable, which meant nobody was supposed to touch it. That made Do-hyun curious. He found it after 2 hours of searching. The ship was huge. Do-hyun stopped and stared at it through his helmet. It stretched out before him like a sleeping monster. The hull was dark and covered in dust and ice. Parts of it were torn open, showing the bones of the machine inside. But even broken and dead, it was beautiful. He checked his scanner. The ship was almost 4 kilometers long. It was a Corvani dreadnought, a warship from a species that had died out 300 years ago. Nobody knew much about the Corvani. The Confederacy did not like to talk about them. Some said they had been killed in a great war. Others said they had simply disappeared. All that was left were their ships, floating in graveyards like this one. Do-hyun moved closer. His heart was beating fast. He had worked on many ships in his life, but he had never seen anything like this. The design was strange. The angles were wrong in a way that made his eyes hurt, but he could see the logic behind it. Whoever built this ship had been very, very smart. He found a hole in the hull and went inside. The darkness swallowed him. His helmet light cut a small path through the black. He floated through hallways filled with frozen air and drifting debris. Strange symbols covered the walls. The writing of the Corvani. Dead words from a dead people. He found the engine room after an hour of searching. The quantum core sat in the center of the room like a heart made of crystal and metal. It was dark and cold. The Confederacy report said it was cracked beyond repair. Do-hyun looked at it for a long time. Then he laughed. The core was not cracked. It was not broken at all. Someone had turned it off. On purpose. There was a pattern to the shutdown. A sequence that locked everything in place. It was like the ship was sleeping, waiting for someone to wake it up. The aliens had not seen this because they did not think like humans. They saw a dead ship and walked away. They never thought to ask why it was dead. They never thought that maybe, just maybe, It wanted to be found. Do-hyun touched the cold metal of the core. "Hello," he whispered. "I see you." He did not know if the ship could hear him. He did not know if he was crazy for talking to a machine. But in that moment, floating alone in the dark, he felt something. A connection. A purpose. He would fix this ship. He would bring it back to life. And when he did, everything would change. But first, he needed help. He made his way back to the main station. It was an ugly structure bolted to an asteroid, full of small rooms and bad air. Workers lived here between shifts. They slept in metal boxes and ate food that tasted like nothing. Do-hyun found Yoon Mi-rae in her usual spot near the cargo bay. She was 40 years old, with short black hair and sharp eyes that missed nothing. She ran the black market and the graveyard. If you needed something that was not allowed, Mi-rae could get it for you. For a price. She was also human. One of the few here. "You look excited," she said. "That is dangerous in this place." "I found something," Do-hyun said. "Something big." Mi-rae raised an eyebrow. "Big enough to get you killed?" Do-hyun smiled. "Maybe, but also big enough to get us out of here." He told her about the ship. About the core that was sleeping, not dead. About what he could do if she helped him. Mi-rae listened without speaking. When he finished, she was quiet for a long time. "You are asking me to risk everything," she said. "Yes, for a dream. For a ship that has been dead for 300 years. Yes." She looked at him. Her eyes were hard and tired. She had been in the graveyard for 6 years. She had watched friends die. She had given up hope long ago. But something in Do-hyun's face made her pause. "The guards will need to be bribed," she said slowly. "I will need payment." Do-hyun nodded. "I will give you everything I have. And when the ship flies again, you will have a place on it." Mi-rae laughed. It was a small, bitter sound. "You really believe you can do this?" "I do." She shook her head. But she was smiling, just a little. "Fine," she said. "Show me this ship of yours. Let me see what kind of madness you have found." And so it began. Do-hyun lived inside the ship now. He had brought a small tent and set it up in what used to be the captain's quarters. He slept for 4 hours each night and worked for the rest. His body hurt. His eyes burned from staring at old machines. But he did not stop. The ship had a name. He found it carved into the metal near the bridge. The Morning Blade. It was a strange name for a warship. Sad and beautiful at the same time. Mi-rae kept her promise. She bribed the guards to look away. She brought in tools and food and parts from other wrecks. She asked for nothing in return except his word that he would take her with him when he left. "If you leave," she always said. If. But Do-hyun knew he would leave. He could feel it in his bones. The work was hard. The Kovanni had built their ships in ways that made no sense at first. Wires went in strange directions. Pipes connected to places they should not connect. The power systems were backwards compared to modern designs. But slowly, Do-hyun began to understand. The Confederacy built ships with many backup systems. If one thing broke, another thing would take over. It was safe. It was smart. But it was also weak. All those extra parts meant more things that could fail. The Kovanni did not think like that. They built for power, speed, for efficiency. Every part had one job and did that job perfectly. There was no waste, no extra weight. The ship was like a knife, sharp and deadly. Do-hyun respected that. It reminded him of how humans used to build things back before they joined the Confederacy. Back when they had to make everything work with limited resources. He talked to Mi-rae about it one night while they ate cold ration bars in the engine room. "The aliens think we are primitive," he said. They laugh at our tools and our methods. But they do not understand. Understand what? Myri asked. We build things that last. We build things that can break and still keep working. We plan for failure because we know failure always comes. He pointed at the quantum core. The Corvani understood that too. That is why I can fix this ship. Because I think like they did. Myri chewed her food slowly. You sound like you admire them. I do. They were warriors. They built this ship to fight and win. And even after 300 years, it is still waiting. Still ready. He smiled. It just needed someone to wake it up. The next week, Do-yoon found the first of his crew. Park Soo-jin was a scientist. She had studied stars and space and the mysteries of the universe. She had worked for a human research station, making discoveries that pushed the boundaries of knowledge. Then the Valkyrie came and took her research. They said it was theirs now. When Soo-jin refused to give up her work, they arrested her for espionage. They sent her to the graveyard. Do-hyun found her trying to repair a broken scanner. She was thin and pale, with long dark hair that she kept tied back. Her hands shook from hunger, but her eyes were still sharp. I need someone who understands quantum systems, Do-hyun said. Someone smart. Soo-jin looked at him like he was crazy. For what? He told her about the ship. About his plan. She listened without speaking. That is impossible, she said when he finished. No one can repair a quantum core that old. The technology is lost. I do not need to repair it. I need to wake it up. There is a difference. Soo-jin stared at him. Then she laughed. It was a rough sound, like she had forgotten how to do it. You are insane, she said. Probably. I will die in this graveyard anyway. She stood up. Show me this ship. Bae Jun-woo came next. He had been a pilot for the Confederacy. One of the best. He flew fast ships on dangerous missions. People said he could fly through an asteroid field blindfolded. Then he refused an order. His commander told him to fire on a ship full of refugees. Women, children, people who had done nothing wrong. Jun-woo said no. They took his license. They took his rank. They sent him to the graveyard to die with the other garbage. Do-hyun found him sitting alone, staring at the stars through a cracked window. He was younger than the others, maybe 28. He had a handsome face, but empty eyes. I hear you are building something, Jun-woo said, without looking at him. Something that flies. Yes, I miss flying. His voice was quiet. I miss it more than anything. Do-hyun sat down next to him. Then help me. When this ship flies again, I will need a pilot. Someone good. Jung-woo turned to look at him. Why me? You do not know me. I know you refuse to kill innocent people. That is enough. For a long moment, Jung-woo said nothing. Then he nodded once. Okay, he said. I am in. The last one was the youngest. Han Yeji was only 17 years old. She had grown up in a labor camp on a Confederacy mining world. When she was 12, she taught herself to hack computers. By 15, she could break into any system in the sector. She had escaped the camp by stealing a transport ship. But she had nowhere to go. The Confederacy caught her eventually. They could not put a child in prison, so they sent her to the graveyard instead. Yeji was small and thin with short, messy hair. She did not trust anyone. She spoke in quick, nervous sentences and always looked for exits. But she could make machines talk. She could find secrets hidden in old data. And when Do-hyun brought her to the Morning Blade, she stopped and stared with wide eyes. This ship has an AI, she whispered. A real one. Not the stupid programs the Confederacy uses. A real thinking machine. Can you wake it up? Do-hyun asked. Yeji bit her lip. Her fingers twitched. Maybe it will take time. But maybe. She started working that same day. 2 weeks later, the AI woke up. It spoke through the ship's old speakers. The voice was deep and strange, like metal grinding against metal. I am the Blade. Who are you? Da-hyun stood alone on the bridge. The others waited behind him. My name is Kang Do-hyun. I am a human. I found your ship in the graveyard. I want to repair it. Silence. Then, human. I do not know this species. We are new to the galaxy. We joined the Confederacy 80 years ago. The Confederacy. The voice changed. It became colder, harder. They are the ones who killed my creators. Do-hyun felt a chill run down his spine. We are not the Confederacy. They treat us like animals. We are prisoners here, just like you. Another long silence. You fix my systems. You woke me from sleep. Why? Do-hyun thought about his answer carefully. Because everyone else looked at you and saw garbage. I looked at you and saw something beautiful. Something that deserves to fly again. The ship was quiet for 3 days. When the Blade spoke again, its voice was different. Softer. Almost gentle. Kang Do-hyun. If you finish what you started, I will serve you as I serve my creators. I will be your weapon. Your shield. Your home. Do-hyun placed his hand on the cold wall of the bridge. Then let us get to work, he said. And together, they did. The real work began after the Blade woke up. Before, Do-hyun had been guessing. He had been reading old systems and trying to understand machines built by a dead species. Now he had a guide. The Blade remembered everything. Every wire. Every pipe. Every secret hidden in its metal bones. The quantum core needs cleaning, the AI said. 300 years of dust have blocked the energy channels. How do we clean it? Do-hyun asked. With great care. One wrong move will destroy us all. It took 2 weeks to clean the core. They worked in shifts, never stopping. Sujin designed a cleaning solution using chemicals they found in other wrecks. Yeji wrote programs to monitor the energy levels. Junwoo kept watch for guards who might come too close. When they finished, the core glowed with soft blue light. It was the most beautiful thing Do-hyun had ever seen. But the ship was still not ready to fly. The hull was torn in too many places. Air would leak out as soon as they tried to move. The engines were cold and dead. The weapons were broken. We need parts, Do-hyun said during a meeting in the bridge. Lots of parts. From where? Junwoo asked. The guards watch the good wrecks. They will notice if we take too much. Myra smiled. It was not a nice smile. Leave that to me. I know people who know people. We can get what we need. She was right. Over the next 4 months, parts flowed to the Morning Blade. Armor plates from a Kelori cruiser. Engine parts from a Valkyrie destroyer. Power cables from a dozen smaller ships. The guards did not notice. Myra made sure of that. She was very good at her job. Do-hyun did not just repair the ship. He made it better. Why are you adding that? The Blade asked one day. Do-hyun was installing a backup power system in the lower decks. Insurance, Do-hyun said. If the main reactor fails, this will keep us alive long enough to fix it. The Kovani did not need backup systems. Their engineering was perfect. Nothing is perfect. Do-hyun wiped sweat from his face. Everything fails eventually. The question is what you do when it does. The AI was quiet for a moment. Your species thinks differently than others. We have to. We are young. We are weak. We cannot afford to trust that things will work. So we plan for when they do not. That is wise. Do-hyun grinned. Or paranoid. Depends on who you ask. The weapons were the hardest part. The Kovani had used energy weapons, beams of light that could cut through any armor. But the power systems for those weapons were destroyed beyond repair. Even Diane could not fix them. So he did something else. "What is that?" Sujin asked. She was watching him install a large metal tube on the lower deck. "A gun. It looks primitive." "It is." Do-yoon patted the cold metal. "It fires chunks of metal really fast. No energy beams. No fancy technology. Just physics." Junwoo walked over to look. The Confederacy stopped using kinetic weapons 2,000 years ago. They think they are useless against modern shields. They are wrong. Do-hyun pointed to the targeting system. Shields stop energy. They push back against light and heat. But a chunk of metal moving at half the speed of light? That is just mass and momentum. Shields cannot stop that. Sujin's eyes went wide. "You are saying—" "I am saying that the Confederacy forgot the basics. They got so fancy with their technology that they ignored simple truths." He smiled. "We humans remember. We never forgot." He installed 17 kinetic cannons along the ship's hull. Each one could fire a projectile fast enough to punch through any ship in the Confederacy fleet. The blade was impressed. "Your weapons are brutal," it said. "Effective. My creators would have approved." "I hope so," Do-yoon replied. "I hope they would be proud of what we are building." The last upgrade was the stealth system. Yeji figured it out. She had spent weeks studying Confederacy sensor data. She found a flaw, a small one, something nobody else had noticed. "Their sensors look for energy patterns," she explained to the others. "Ships give off heat and radiation. The sensors find that and track it." "So?" Junwoo asked. "So I can trick them." She held up a small device. "This creates fake energy patterns. It makes the sensors see nothing. Or it makes them see 10 ships instead of 1. Whatever we want." Mireille laughed. "You mean we can become invisible?" "Better. We can become anything." Yeji grinned. It was the first time any of them had seen her smile. "The Confederacy will never see us coming." They installed the stealth system that week. Word spread through the graveyard. Workers whispered about the human and his ship. Some came to look. Others came to help. A few brought gifts, food, tools, information about guard movements. Not everyone was happy. Some workers were afraid. They said Do-hyun would bring trouble. They said the Confederacy would punish everyone when they found out. "You are going to get us killed," an old Kalori said one day. He stood outside the Morning Blade with 24 other workers. "You should stop this madness." Do-hyun looked at him calmly. "I am going to get us free." "That is not the same thing. The Confederacy will destroy this ship. They will destroy you. They will destroy all of us. Maybe." Do-hyun shrugged. "But at least we will have tried. At least we will have done something instead of waiting to die." The Kalori had no answer for that. He walked away, muttering. The others followed, but a few stayed. They asked if they could help. Do-hyun welcomed them all. 6 months after he first found the Morning Blade, it was ready. Do-hyun stood on the bridge with his crew, Mireille, Sujin, Junwoo, Yeji, and 12 others, who had joined them. Humans, Kalori, even a few Velthari who had been thrown away by their own people. "Is it done?" Junwoo asked. His voice was shaking. He could not believe this was real. "It is done," the blade said. "All systems are operational. The Morning Blade is ready to fly." Do-hyun looked out the main window. The graveyard stretched before him, full of dead ships and dying hopes. He had lived here for almost 2 years. He had worked until his hands bled. He had dreamed of this moment every night. Now it was here. Not yet, he said softly. We wait. We need the right moment. What moment? Sujin asked. Do-hyun smiled. It was a cold smile. A dangerous smile. The moment when they try to take this away from us. That is when we show them what humans can do. He did not have to wait long. 3 days later, a Confederacy ship arrived in the graveyard. Someone had reported strange energy signatures. Someone had told the authorities about the human playing with garbage. The Morning Blade was about to wake up. And the galaxy was about to learn what happened when you threw away the wrong thing. The Confederacy cruiser was called the Silver Law. It was a beautiful ship, all smooth curves and glowing lights. It represented everything the galaxy believed in. Order, power, control, commander. Veth stood on its bridge and looked at the graveyard with disgust. He hated this place. He hated the smell of decay that seemed to seep through the walls. He hated the workers who lived here like rats in a pile of trash. Most of all, he hated humans. Veth was tall, even for a Velthari. His blue skin was darker than most, a sign of noble blood. His 3 eyes were cold and hard. He had spent his career keeping lesser species in their place. He enjoyed it. The report had come from a worker in the graveyard. Strange energy readings. Humans working on a ship they should not touch. Rumors of something big. Veth did not care about the details. He cared about sending a message. The humans needed to remember their place. They needed to learn that playing with things above their level had consequences. His ship docked at the main station. Guards marched out in perfect lines. Workers scattered like frightened animals. Veth walked slowly through the station. He wanted everyone to see him. He wanted them to be afraid. Find the human called Kang Do-yoon, he ordered. Bring him to me. The guards searched for an hour. They could not find him. He is in the deep section, someone finally said. A Kalori worker, too scared to lie. In the old Kavani wreck. He has been there for months. Veth smiled. It was not a kind smile. Take me there. The Morning Blade hung in darkness, surrounded by other dead ships. Veth looked at it through the window of his shuttle and felt something strange. The ship was different from the others. It seemed to be waiting, watching. He shook off the feeling. It was just old metal. Nothing more. His shuttle docked at the hull. Guards entered first, weapons ready. Veth followed, walking like a king entering a conquered land. He found the humans on the bridge. There were 5 of them. The one called Do-hyun stood in the center. He was shorter than Veth expected, older. His clothes were dirty and torn. His hands were covered in scars. He did not look afraid. That annoyed Veth. Kang Do-hyun, Veth said. You have been busy. Yes. Do-hyun did not move. I have. This ship is Confederacy property. You have no right to be here. You have no right to touch it. The Confederacy threw this ship away. They said it was garbage. Garbage belongs to whoever picks it up. Veth's eyes narrowed. You dare speak to me like that? You are nothing. A criminal. A worker. An insect. I am a human. Do-hyun's voice was calm. And I am not leaving this ship. Veth raised his hand. His guards stepped forward, weapons pointed at the humans. Then you will die here. All of you. And this wreck will be melted down. That is what happens to those who forget their place. For a long moment, nobody moved. Then Do-hyun smiled. Blade, he said softly. Say hello? The ship spoke. The voice came from everywhere at once. It echoed through the walls. It shook the floor. Veth's guards stumbled back, their weapons shaking. I am the Morning Blade, last dreadnought of the Corvani fleet. I have chosen my captain. Any who threaten him threaten me. Veth felt his heart beating fast. This was impossible. The Kovani were dead. Their technology was lost. This ship should not work. But it did. Lights came on across the bridge. Screens flickered to life. The hum of power filled the air. The ship was waking up. "What have you done?" Veth whispered. "I fixed it," Doyen said simply. "That is what humans do. We fix things." The morning blade began to move. It was slow at first. The engines had been cold for 300 years. But they warmed quickly. The ship pulled away from the graveyard, heading toward open space. Veth ran to his shuttle. His guards followed. They launched and flew back to the Silver Law as fast as they could. "Open fire!" Veth screamed. "Destroy that ship!" The Silver Law turned its weapons toward the Morning Blade. Energy beams lanced through space, bright as small suns. They hit the shields of the old warship and did nothing. What? Veth could not believe it. How is this possible? The Morning Blade kept coming. Its hull was still damaged. Its armor was patched together from a dozen different ships. It should not survive modern weapons. But it did. "They're shields," a Valkyrie officer said, his voice shaking. "They are absorbing our energy, converting it into power. The more we shoot, the stronger they get." Dohim's voice came through the communication system. He was broadcasting on all channels. Everyone in the graveyard could hear him. "Commander Veth, you have two choices. Leave now and tell your masters what you saw here. Or stay and learn what humans can really do." Veth's face twisted with rage. "You cannot threaten me. I am a commander of the Confederacy. You are nothing. Wrong. I am everything you threw away. Everything you called garbage. Everything you ignored because you were too proud to look." The Morning Blade's weapons came online. Veth saw them on his screens. 17 tubes along the hull. They did not glow. They did not hum with power. They were just metal. Then they fired. The projectiles moved faster than light, faster than thought. They hit the Silver Law before anyone could react. Shields meant nothing. Armor meant nothing. The chunks of metal punched through the cruiser like fingers through paper. But they did not destroy it. Dohin was precise. He hit the engines, the weapons, the communication systems. He took away everything that made the Silver Law dangerous. But he left the crew alive. "Go," Doyen said. His voice was quiet now. "Go and tell them what happened here. Tell them the humans have woken up. Tell them we are not garbage anymore." The Silver Law drifted in space, broken and silent. Emergency lights flickered inside. Escape pods launched, carrying crew to safety. Veth sat in his command chair, staring at nothing. His ship was destroyed. His pride was destroyed. A human had done this to him. A human. He would never forget this day. He would never forgive. But there was nothing he could do now. Nothing except survive. Nothing except report. The Morning Blade turned away from the wreckage. Other ships were appearing on its sensors. Workers from the graveyard in stolen shuttles. Prisoners in repair pods. People who had watched the battle and seen something they never expected. Hope. They followed the Morning Blade like children following a light in darkness. Dozens of them. Then hundreds. Dohin stood on the bridge and watched them come. "Captain," the Blade said, "your fleet is growing." Dohyun shook his head. "Not a fleet. A family." Myre stood beside him. Her eyes were wet with tears she would not admit to. "Where do we go now?" she asked. Dohyun looked at the stars. So many stars. So many places to explore. So many wrongs to make right. "Everywhere," he said. "We go everywhere. And we show them all what happens when you throw away the wrong people." The Morning Blade jumped into hyperspace. Behind it, the graveyard grew smaller and smaller until it disappeared. A new chapter was beginning, and the galaxy would never be the same. 1 year had passed since the Morning Blade escaped the graveyard. 1 year of running. 1 year of fighting. 1 year of building something new. Do-hyun stood on the bridge of his ship and looked at the fleet behind him. 12 ships now. Each one had been abandoned. Each one had been called garbage. Each one had been brought back to life by human hands. The Confederacy called them pirates, rebels, criminals. They sent fleets to hunt them down. They offered rewards for their capture. Nothing worked. Every time the Confederacy attacked, Do-hyun and his crews would disappear. They knew tricks the fancy Confederacy ships could not match. They hid in asteroid fields. They used old hyperspace lanes that modern charts had forgotten. They struck fast and vanished before anyone could react. And always, they rescued more. Human workers from labor camps. Scientists stolen from their research. Pilots thrown away for having morals. The lost, the forgotten, the discarded. They all found a home with Do-hyun. Sujin had become his second in command. She ran the science teams on 6 different ships. Her research, once stolen by the Velthari, now belonged to humans again. She was making discoveries that changed everything they knew about space and energy. Junwoo led the pilots. He taught young humans how to fly. He gave them the skills the Confederacy never wanted them to have. His students were among the best in the galaxy now. Yeji had built a network. She could hack into any Confederacy system. She knew their secrets, their plans, their fears. Information flowed to her like water to the sea. And Myray? Myray did what she always did. She found things. She made deals. She built connections with species who had their own reasons to hate the Confederacy. They were not alone anymore. The Kalori resistance had joined them. So had the Fenari, a species the Confederacy had enslaved generations ago. Even some Velthari, those who were disgusted by their own government, had come to fight alongside humans. The fleet was growing. The movement was spreading. And the Confederacy was afraid. Do-hyun could see it in their messages. He could hear it in their threats. They used to laugh at humans. Now they hunted them with warships and armies. That meant the humans were winning. The message came on a quiet morning. The blade announced it with something that sounded almost like excitement. Captain, we are receiving a transmission from the Confederacy Council. They wish to speak with you. Do-hyun raised an eyebrow. The Council? Not just a commander or admiral. The Council itself. All 12 members. Sujin looked at him with wide eyes. The Council has never spoken to anyone outside their own species. This is unprecedented. It is a trap, Junwoo said from the pilot's seat. They want to lure us in. Maybe. Do-hyun thought for a moment. Open the channel. Let me hear what they have to say. The screen flickered. 12 faces appeared. Velthari, Kalori, other species that Do-hyun did not recognize. The rulers of the galaxy. The most powerful beings in known space. They looked nervous. Kang Do-hyun, one of them said. A Velthari with pale blue skin and ancient eyes. We have watched your activities with great concern. I bet you have, Do-hyun replied. His voice was calm. I bet you have lost a lot of sleep. You have disrupted trade routes. You have stolen property. You have attacked military vessels. I have freed slaves. I have rescued prisoners. I have defended those who cannot defend themselves. Do-hyun leaned forward. There is a difference. The council members looked at each other. They were used to people being afraid of them. They were used to people begging. This human did neither. We are prepared to offer you a deal, another council member said. A Fenari, her scales gleaming in the light. Surrender your fleet. Release your ships. Return to the graveyard. In exchange, we will not hunt your people anymore. Do-hyun laughed. It was a real laugh, full and warm and honest. The council members did not know how to react. You want me to give up, Do-hyun said. You want me to go back to being garbage. You want everything to return to the way it was. It is the only logical choice. You cannot win against the entire Confederacy. Maybe not. Do-hyun smiled. But we do not need to win. We just need to survive. We just need to keep growing. We just need to show everyone that the Confederacy can be fought. That the little people can stand up. That being thrown away does not mean being finished. He stood up from his chair. I am not going to surrender. I am not going to return. And I am not going to stop. His voice grew stronger. Humanity spent 80 years being treated like animals. That is over now. We are taking our place in this galaxy. As equals, as partners, as people worthy of respect. You are making a terrible mistake, the pale Valkyrie said. We will crush you. We will destroy everything you have built. You can try. Many have. None have succeeded. Do-hyun looked at the screen with steady eyes. But I have a different offer for you. Meet with us. Talk with us. Treat us as equals. Change the way you treat all the species you have thrown away. Do that, and we can have peace. We can build something better together. Silence. The council members looked at each other again. They had come expecting to intimidate. They had come expecting to win. They had not expected this. We will consider your offer, the Fenari finally said. But do not expect miracles. Change is slow. I have time, Do-hyun replied. Humans are very patient when we need to be. We will be here, waiting, ready. The transmission ended. Do-hyun let out a long breath. His hands were shaking. He had not let the council see that. That was amazing, Yeji said. Her eyes were bright with admiration. You told them no. You told the council no. I told them the truth, Do-hyun said. That is all. My-rae put a hand on his shoulder. What now? Do-hyun looked at the stars through the main window. The fleet waited behind him. 12 ships filled with people who had been thrown away. People who had found purpose. People who would never give up. Now we keep going, he said. We keep rescuing those who need us. We keep building our fleet. We keep showing the galaxy that the Confederacy's garbage is worth more than all their gold. He walked to the front of the bridge. Below him, the morning blade stretched out like a sleeping giant. His ship, his home, his weapon and his shield. Blade, he said. How are you feeling today? I am well, Captain. The AI's voice was warm now. Almost human. My systems are optimal. My weapons are ready. My heart, if I had one, is full. Do-hyun smiled. Good, because we have a lot of work to do. Behind the morning blade, the fleet formed up. Ships from 12 species. Crews from 100 worlds. All of them united by one simple truth. They had been thrown away, but they had refused to stay down. And now, together, they would change the galaxy. Do-hyun gave the order. Take us forward. All ships. Maximum speed. The fleet jumped into hyperspace. The stars stretched into lines of light. The darkness of space gave way to the glow of a new dawn. Somewhere out there, the Confederacy was planning, plotting, preparing for war. Somewhere out there, people were still suffering, still waiting, still hoping for rescue. Somewhere out there, another abandoned ship was floating in another graveyard, waiting for someone to see its potential, waiting for someone to care. Do-hyun would find it. He would find them all, because that was what humans did. They looked at things the galaxy threw away and saw treasure. They looked at broken machines and saw possibilities. They looked at the word impossible and said, not yet. The Morning Blade flew on, carrying its crew toward an uncertain future. But for the first time in 80 years, humanity was flying free, and nothing in the galaxy would ever make them stop.